Monday, August 17th, 2026. Excited to be here. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Unless there are any comments from my colleagues, we can begin. And I see Director Brown has taken the podium. So we will begin with Planning and Economic Development.
Just trying to remember to look up. So good morning, Angela Brown, Planning and Development Director. I'm here to present our outcomes for 2026 as well as our goals for 2027 and take a deeper dive into the budget that we have proposed for the upcoming fiscal year. So the goal is to kind of celebrate some of the wins that the staff and the team have had this year. So you'll see on your first page is just at glance look of some of the overall outcomes for the different divisions, and we'll walk through some of them one by one. While you do have a full list of outcomes and goals, I'll just kind of hit some of the highlights as we go through this slide. But you'll see in terms of business licenses, we've had over 2,800 new and renewed business licenses this year, 3,000 plus permits issued. When we look at our code enforcement, we have over 2,600 new code violations. That's adding to the 5,000 plus that we have now. And this also has more than 800 have advanced to court and administrative and both courts as that's part of that process. In terms of what we've done in the demolitions or clean properties, we spent about $900,000 for blight removal, over 40 properties. Under this department, we also have housing. We've been able to serve more than 630 individuals through our housing initiative. And we have secured some grants and outside funding that just want to highlight with our transit system. They received an award of $2.8 million. And then with some of our workforce programs, we received over $280,000. I think one of the things that we can highlight from this year, we have made a lot of structural changes to the staff internally to have better streamlined processes as well as kind of highest use of the staff that we have available. And we've done that without adding new staff and losing over 15 staff this year. And so really trying to be more efficient in the work that we're doing and even piloted some new initiatives that we'll talk about. For you all, this is pretty much an overview of our organizational chart. With this, the only new thing, we have combined some of the departments, the divisions, so planning and zoning, building, licensing and permitting. We have code enforcement. They have been merged under one group. And so where we used to have code enforcement separated between zoning, building, and community improvement, they all work together. Also rental registration, they're all under one division at this moment. Economic development, housing and community development, transportation and transit. And the new kind of division I have put together is strategic initiatives and our innovation division that is helping us pilot a lot of these initiatives that we'll talk about, as well as helping us address the unhoused population with the program that'll be starting next month. So this is just a quick highlight, more details of, I don't think I've been moving. Okay, thank you. A quick overview of what we've been doing in terms of permit and licensing. This is just more details. You can see the breakdown between new and renewals. It also adds in some of the other highlights with ribbon cuttings as well as surplus properties that we've been able to return to productive use.
Can I ask a clarifying question real quick? Our printed version of this slide indicates 3,000 plus permits issued. This is slide 4, right?
Oh,
everything looks
in the new
identical except.
Yeah. I made a change and had to resend it.
So the correct is
The
540?
3,000 is the right number.
3,000?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think I changed it and sent it to you. Yeah. We had confusion when I was doing updates and getting edits back, so it's just a minor change, but the 3,000 is the correct number. So in terms of challenges that you'll see, if you don't have questions on that slide in terms of numbers, the challenges that we'll see is really with the permanent licensing is the processing time and the confusion of the process, and then also staff training as we try to improve our communications. We're trying to reduce our times. Right now it's taking between 30 plus days, upward of a year in many cases, and the goal is to really get all of our permits and licenses down to under 30 days. So one of the things that we have piloted is a customer success center where we have moved all of the permanent licensing services to the first floor. So as soon as you walk into the building, they have their own offices there where instead of having to go throughout 3 floors and figuring out where to do zoning or permitting, everything is now in one place. We have had some early feedback that shows that that model is successful. Again, we have continue to have opportunity to improve the way we communicate what is needed in terms of the business licensing process as well as the permitting process. Zoning is also one of the things that they need a deeper clarification into when and how that process works, as well as the duplication efforts in terms of paperwork and just understanding who our licensed professionals are. And so we do want to increase our website and social media presence there. There are no questions, I'm going to keep moving. The next department is just looking at our planning and zoning. Again, zoning is a huge part of the process. One of the things that we have been talking about is updating our zoning ordinance. It is pretty old and really trying to be more modern in the way we have our land use and zoning policies, and so that will be one of our priorities for the year. Again, looking at workload and strategy, doing deeper partnerships with urban planning departments at JSU and other schools to have more of a pipeline service into planning. And also get some of the younger input and feedback into how we modernize our processes and zoning ordinance. Looking at also faster processing and efficiencies throughout that process as well. So the next big topic is code enforcement. You all have seen some of this data, so I won't walk through all of it. I think some of the highlights that I'll talk about here is that we are launching a community volunteer code enforcement program. It's kind of kicked off the flyer on Friday, doing some deeper announcements and public notices and communications about that this week. We're really excited about helping add to our workforce and capacity with the volunteer program. Also looking to increase our presence on social media to show more and highlight the work that our code enforcement officers are doing. A large part of this is also looking at blight elimination, and so, you know, if I did have an X, I'd probably be X for $50 million here because we need that to tear down a lot of these properties. But at the same time, you know, we do invest about $1 million into blight elimination, and so we will continue to make those type of investments into this program, but also begin looking at blight prevention. And so hopefully with our volunteer code enforcement and other efforts to look at water cutoffs, late taxes to try to prevent people from moving to vacancy and some of the blight that we're seeing, and seeing if we can provide services before we get into a blighted situation is also a large part of the efforts that we're hoping to start moving into. And then just really being stronger on enforcement. So stronger collaboration with our police and fire to increase the enforcement that we see across our code enforcement lines. Then a quick jump on housing and development. So here you can see the numbers of services that we've done. Some of the highlights, some of the pictures you can see here are some of the things that we've been able to fund through CDBG and Home. We did many of our fire stations had HVAC updates. The planetarium had a new exhibit. We've partnered with Habit for Humanity with some new housing developments, as well as the Gulf Coast Housing Partnership. And this program brings about $5 million through all of our HUD funding program, brings about $5 million into the region to be able to do more of these neighborhood improvements. And then I think this will be the last one, is really talking in about JTRAN and their investments. So the biggest thing here is that we've secured a grant to look at $2.8 million to do bench and shelter improvements that will be kicking off this year. So we're excited about that. We're also looking to do cost savings with our grants and transportation. As you know, this is one of the major budget items that falls under plan development, and so as many cost savings as we can get, we'll be looking this year. So we're piloting micro transit. That is an RFP that will be going out within this month or next, as well as looking at updating our contract. MV is a multi-year contract for our operations of the program that is ending next year. And so as we look at new ways to improve and modernize our bus system, we'll be looking to kind of reissue that bid to see what other new ideas we can get. Some of the studies that will inform that is the one-line study that was just completed. They'll be coming out next month as well. So some new things, I don't know if you all have heard about our workforce development. This is another area that we can use deeper investment is our economic development, and so we'll be looking to do the new things here with the business retention and engagement process. But in the past, the team has spent a lot on terms of programming and workforce development. And so there is a 5E program, which is Educate Jackson, Equip Jackson, Engage Jackson, Explore Jackson, so 4 E's. And so you'll see some of the highlights here. Educators around entrepreneurship education that started last fall, where we have trained 21 individuals, and you'll see some of the outcomes there. Equip Jackson is our Kiva loan program. We have been able to fund 5 loans to support small businesses in the city. And then Engage Jackson is our business directory, and so you see the number of businesses on there. And we have an open rewards program with Explore Jackson that has been pretty much utilized with 300 businesses enrolled, and actually seeing a significant number of users on that as well. So we're pretty excited about that and definitely want to spend more time getting more information out about these programs. Some other programs that we've done in terms of workforce is building local development capacity. We've been able to partner with the innovation team that we have here that add additional capacity to our team to do some more deeper dive workforce skill-based training. So we have the Green Works that started, and it's actually about to do another round where we have trained 12 individuals on green energy construction in partnership with Metro Boomin. And we're thankful to our funds with Sustainable Cities Fund. That was a grant-funded initiative that we were able to do that through. In the coming weeks, we'll be kicking off a program called Connect and Compete. And this is really looking at contractor readiness, trying to help small contractors who need help with licenses to get more state licenses as well as the procurement process, hoping to connect them with more seasoned contractors and do some joint ventures with that process. Again, that is another grant-funded initiative we'll be kicking off. And then at the end of this month, we'll have a second cohort of our Developers Academy that's looking to increase infill and rehabs in some of our disinvested neighborhoods. This is just some more innovation that we're looking to try. Again, we've talked about the modernization of our zoning. We're trying to improve our communication with residents, so we're going to be doing more dashboards, more integration with 311, also trying to get more community feedback into our process. We've been doing some permit journeying to figure out our permitting process, as well as some neighborhood beautification initiatives. And with that, we'll jump right into our budget. I don't know if you can see that. Any questions on some of those outcomes? Okay. So our budget that we have proposed for this year is $11.7 million. I probably need to drop an additional $200,000, but that's what we got today. Our number is 11.5, so we will be looking to make an additional cuts. But here you'll see the kind of the top categories that we have. With the largest category that's funded out of our budget is electric and power. For this year, we have $4.4 million. We also do our appropriations to J-Train, that's right around $3 million. Salaries make up $2 million of that budget. Other budgeted items are around $1.5 million. That will include funding they have set aside for demolition. It will include our fuel, cell phones, and kind of other small items there. Professional services is around $442,000. This is the contribution we give to the Folk Festival, that is right at $200,000, as well as the $230,000 we pay for our OpenGov system. That is another system we're looking to bid out this year to see if we can find additional cost savings in terms of the equipment that we have, technology we have for that. So
you're
that
going to bid
RFP
it
is
out?
going out. We are going to bid it out. Some of the smaller things we have, we're trying to improve our customer service, so we will kind of go to a uniform for staff as well as different trainings to have just to upskill the staff in terms of customer service as well as other skills training. And so that will make up the budget that we have proposed for this year. We have eliminated all staff except for 5 open positions that we have. We lost 2 code enforcement officers this year. We're going to replace 1. And we're looking to do 2 assistant and a senior planner to replace some of the research technicians that we saw. So we lost about 15 positions, so this will leave us open with 5. And then on our housing team, we have about an additional 5 positions that to be hired on a housing grant. One is a housing director. I have been filling that role for the most part, along with my deputy director, and so we really do need someone in that position, but those are grant-funded positions that will not affect or change the number that we have here on our general fund. Any questions about that? Next, after this, just going to jump right into our revenue. This just shows the money that we have earned for our permits and licensing. We are down this year, so we've budgeted about $2.7 million, $2.78 million. Today, we collect about 1.63. Again, I think this goes up to July, so we are missing kind of the last quarter of this year, but I don't know if we're going to hit 1.1 million, but hopefully we get close to that number. So we do have a little bit of shortfall in terms of what we collected in terms of permits and licensing. Then jump right into our transit budget. So for this year, transit is proposing 17.1 million. This is down from the 23 million that they had from last year. The largest decrease we'll see in this budget, which you see is the 6.5 million, is because buses were purchased this year, and so we would not be purchasing any buses or any equipment purchase that require a match. So that's where you see a significant decrease in what they are proposing in terms of budget. And then our actual data is around 19.3 as of June 1. And then you can see a breakdown of some of their operating costs. Will say the capital maintenance is where you see kind of that approximately 7 million drop. Again, 2026, that was the purchase of buses. This year it's going to be lower, but we are doing some capital maintenance. That was the bus stops improvements we talked about, the micro transit, and again, those are grant funded, they don't require a match, and the mobile camera surveillance systems. I think this is my last slide, is to show the funding sources that we have for JTRAN. It's mostly grant funded, so you'll see the federal grants. They have some state funding. In terms of what we collect in fare revenue, is about 480,000. I think it usually lags up there, so we need to kind of get it very much closer to that 400,000 mark. And then the LOCAN funding, which 3 million is budgeted from our general fund budget. I think that's it. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you very much. As always, I'll be here with my colleagues. Mr. Foote?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a number of questions. I'll start at the end since we just got through with that part. So this is on the JTRAN Transit Services. On the next to last page, it's got the expenses, budget overview, and it goes capital maintenance. And for fiscal year 2026, it was $9,085,000, and then fiscal year 2027, you're proposing $2,085,000. So it's a $7 million drop. And I guess my question is, what all goes into the term capital maintenance? So I guess bus purchases or vehicle purchases go in there. I think it'd be healthy for us to have that broken out, because maintenance to me means taking care of stuff, and buying new equipment is, different. I think that should be separated out. And so within this, obviously, we made some big purchases in 26. We bought those $2 million buses, which I've got problems with. But anyway, or $2 million buses, excuse me. The number reflected in the purchases, when we buy a $1 million bus and 80% of it's paid for by the Federal Transportation Authority, does this show, is that the full cost of the bus that goes in there, or just our portion of the bus that goes in there?
So
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if Christine made the call, but I think this is the full purchase of the bus, and then it breaks out kind of the 20% that we owe.
So then, see, but there's no breakout here.
Okay.
So I think that was helpful for us to know exactly what we're getting for our buck. And then it's got the federal grants down here, amount $11 million is what its funding source. Okay. So
Yeah, that's what we did.
to the extent that we get FTA grants to pay for 80% of our transportation vehicle, vehicles, we need to be able to know, in other words, if we're going to show, rather than just maintenance, to me, maintenance is taking care of stuff, which is, we need to do better job on that everywhere across the city. But, so, we need to I would like to see, here's
Plus
what
purchases.
here's what was spent on transportation. It might be $10 million. Of that, the FDA paid $8 million, and the city paid $2 million. So that we know what we're actually, how much of our money we're spending versus spending that is paid for by the federal government.
Okay.
And that's just, because when I see maintenance, I think all that money, I saw the 7 million drop in maintenance. That's not that would be a really bad thing, even though it's a savings, if we're not taking care of the stuff we've got, especially if we got really expensive equipment like we do. So that's, to the extent that it comes out of federal grants here, we would need to know where those federal grants are going to. That's 11 million is a lot of money.
Okay.
So that's some additional information I'd like to get, be provided on a regular basis. Okay, you go to the next page here, revenue performance, fiscal year 2026 year to date.
For the bus?
No, this is the next page. I got a question on. This is
Okay.
the book. I'm working backwards.
18,
This is
okay.
page 18. And it shows revenue account group, license and permits, and then says appropriation collected. So we were expecting to get 2.78 million in license and permits. But we only got, so far anyway, 1.6 million, if I'm reading this correctly. That's 58%. So can you provide some insight on why we were so much lower than what we expected to get? It's about $1 million in permits that we didn't get, or maybe we hadn't gotten them yet, whatever. Still uncollected 1.15 million. That's the differential. Is that money that you think there's a chance we'll get some of that in the next 30 days?
So I think there's a chance we'll get some of it. I'm not sure if we'll get the 1.5 million.
Okay.
Again, some of this is going to be the timing of the permits and
Okay.
licenses because of the processing time. So we might not actually see the full thing until later in the fall, the quarter.
Okay.
Just because of the time of the processing the permits. As I told you, they're exceeding at this point 30 days. And so we are trying to get those
Okay.
timeframes down, 30 days up to a year. And then also I think we're just under as well. And then with some of the staff changes, has also added to delays there.
So is part of this just a lack of activity in the city where people are not getting as many permits? There's not as much going on? Is that what it is? Is to have a $1 million shortfall in permits? Is it just there's not as much commercial activity or residential activity going on?
I don't know if we've seen a decrease in activity, but the collections are definitely down. So we have to do a deeper dive to see what's actually causing that. We've made several changes that could have impacted that. Again, we've lost staff. We've made some staff changes, so there's been some training to get back up to speed on the process. Also, again, that timing issue, because it takes so long to process, and we're in, I think this goes up to July, so we're missing August. We don't have September data, so probably October will give us a better read of where we are in terms of collection. But I do think we may be able to get half. One of the things to look at last year, it was pretty high because we had the jail that came, and I think that was a pretty significant amount, the Hines County Jail, when they came. That was a pretty large development.
Really?
That was last year, right? So that added to the 2.7, and so I don't think we have had a development that large this year, so that
Okay.
also will see some of the drop that we have.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, sure, go ahead. If you got a question. I'm just going through where I had made
Yeah,
notes.
and I want to pause. On that same page, page 18, we have other revenues. What other revenues are we referring to there?
So this will look at probably the sale of the land that we do for surplus property. is what you will see in terms of the other revenues. And that's on the line at the account level detail that you see in the box right next to it. So you'll see the different permits, gas, electric, signs, the licenses are there, and then the sale of the land makes up about 14%. So that'll be half of that, and then let me pull it up to see what the other half is.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, because I think this says something different than I think what you just said. It's not that the sale of land makes up 14.8% of the funds, it's that we have collected 14.8 of the revenue we were expecting to receive for sale of land. These figures don't add up to 100 because the gas permit alone is 134.5.
Yeah.
So we've over-collected what we thought we were going to get for permits, significantly under-collected on the sale of land and on air conditioning and duct permitting.
Correct. I was trying to answer for other revenues. So I think the other revenues is the sale of land, and I have to figure out what else is included in that number, because the license and permits will be all the permits that we have, the business licensing, that would be the only other that we have there.
So we're saying that the sale of land netted us $1 million? I'm sorry, $272,000. We appropriated $1 million,
Yeah.
We were hoping to get.
$1 million, and we got a quarter of that.
I mean, don't hold me to that. Let me pull this up right quick. So other revenue was rental, registration, sale of land, a plumbing exam, electrical exam, and the site plan review.
When you have an opportunity, can you email us that breakdown, please? Thank you.
I got a question on page 17. Can we move to 17?
Yes, Mr. Foote, continue.
Hey, where the money goes, it's a good question, okay. I've got the first line, electric, light, and power. Fiscal year to date, we've paid $3.965 million, and the proposed budget for that for next year is $4.474 million. Now, I did not realize, are these the street lights? I did not realize the street lights were in the planning department. Is that the right department for the street lights to be in? I don't know.
This
I
is
mean,
where
it's
they've been
obviously
since I've gotten
expense.
here. We're happy to pass them on.
We've had issues with streetlights since I've been on the council. And where the Entergy comes up with the dollar amount that we have to pay, it's about $400,000 a month. And we've gone back and forth, and even the people of Victoria Love, who's a really nice lady, came and talked to us about that, and she's been responsive in the times I've called her about issues. But this isn't a question so much for you, but for the city at large. I think there's savings to be had if we can get to the bottom of the billing process for energy and lights. I know the city of Clinton took them to task and took them to court over their billing for street lights. Because it's the same bill all the time. There's no depreciation on the stuff, and they're supposed to be depreciating. That's the normal practice for Entergy is to depreciate their investments so that they don't get a constant X return as for 50 years or whatever. And so I think we need to pursue this, and this is just to my fellow council members and to the city officials. There might be significant savings that we can find if we get maybe ex-councilman Mr. Heath or Stamps can help us sort this out, who's on the Public Service Commission now. That's just a comment in general. Okay.
Yeah, just on the electric, light, and power, I think I would feel more comfortable if it was under Public Works. And especially now that we're examining having an engineer as a part of the Public Works staff, there's a lot there. Who is your person that's over this particular item?
What do you mean over it? So we basically pay it, we still partner with Public Works to any type of maintenance or outages discussions. So we don't actually do the work with
So
this.
you just pay.
We just pay it.
So-
Now, what we do is also when residents want to add lights, street lights to their streets or in front of their homes, those requests do come through planning. At this point, we're not processing those. We're holding because of the budget. And so we haven't added any new lights this year.
I'm sorry. Back up, please.
Uh-huh.
Explain that.
So, planning pays the energy bill. In
Yeah.
terms of the maintenance and kind of the watching, that still goes through Public Works.
Okay.
So it would make sense if the money kind of follows them, because they still do the kind of the
Right.
management of it. Now, residents are able to call in and request a street light. If they
Oh,
want
okay.
something added on their street because they feel it's dark, it's a safety issue, they are able to make those requests. At this point, we are collecting a list of people who are making the request, but we are not adding new lights.
How long have that been going on? How long have we been making that list?
Oh, well, since we've had to make budget cuts, we have stopped adding lights. I think it's supposed to come through council, and so we need to figure out the process for that, but they haven't had a process since I've been here on that.
How long have folks been waiting? How long have
Oh,
folks?
just a few months, yeah.
A few months, okay.
So does all of the planning budget go through the general fund?
So we do have our HUD budget that does not, we just stopped that from hitting general fund. It was passing through general fund, and then we did a grant reimbursement. Now we have moved all those expenses off of general fund, and they go straight to the housing budget. So everything that's grant funded, that's 100% grant funded. And then J-Tran has its own budget that's separate from general fund, except for what we appropriate to them.
I think we need to look at the lighting and possibly putting that in Public Works and dealing with it over there. That's just, I think it makes more sense over there, especially if we're going to have some engineers involved at the Public Works Department. That's, a comment on that page. Let's see. If you go to page 8, enforcement results, challenges, and fiscal year 2027 goals. Here's just where I had some questions. Number 3 on the right-hand side, revamp the weed and seed program locally with police, fire, legal, nonprofits, and neighborhood associations for early intervention. That was new to me. The weed and seed program. Can you tell me what that is? I assume that's just weeds, not
So this will be a
marijuana-related
community
program.
cleanup initiative.
Okay.
And trying to have stronger partnerships. Again, we're trying to figure out ways to prevent blight. Because the faucet keeps running and it's hard for us to keep up, so we really have to kind of stop the flow of the water. And so looking at other initiatives to try to stop houses from getting to a blighted position. And so having more community-based neighborhood programs to do some early detection and trying to intervene and provide services to residents before, they vacate the property, before it
Okay.
ends up having a burn, or if there's things that we could do ahead of time. So that will be what that program will be looking at.
Okay, the fourth bullet point, this is explore increased property tax assessments on chronically blighted properties. Now, when I think of blighted properties, I think of ones that are already empty and falling apart or whatever. And chronically would suggest that they get fixed up and then they go back into decay or whatever. I'm not sure if increased property taxes is going to fix blighted properties. That's,
I mean, chronicle would be those properties that have been this way for years,
Yeah.
where we've tried to work with the owners, they
Uh-huh.
still won't, do.
Okay.
We need to have some type of stronger
Yeah.
enforcement, and whether we take more legislative actions to see if we can start taking land back or something. We just
Sure.
really have to figure out ways to be stronger on getting people to comply.
Okay, and on the top right-hand side of this page, it's got invested in blight removal, $907,401. So does that end up coming out of the general fund? Is that a number, I guess if it comes through planning, it must come out of the general fund, is that correct? Okay, let me say, that is, you know, it's about as much as we probably can afford at this point in time, but it does not solve the problem. And that is a Band-Aid, and we need, we're in the ICU when it comes to blighted property, and $907,000 is not going to fix the city of Jackson's blighted property issue. We need, Gary, Indiana's got like $80 million, okay? They're a smaller city than Jackson is. They're not a capital city. We need millions and millions of dollars to address this problem. And I just want to make that statement. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with putting $907,000 there, but that is not going to solve the problems we've got. And we have to get on the rooftop and scream to everybody we can that we need funds to address blight in a meaningful and powerful way that can actually solve the problem. Because this is not going to, $907,000 a year is not going to solve the problem. And we need to be upfront about that and let our legislative delegation know about it, let our federal delegation know about it, that we need much bigger solutions. We cannot solve this problem out of our general fund. We will just shrink and shrink and shrink if we try to solve this out of our general fund.
Yeah, it's not there.
Okay, that's my sermonette for that page.
Can
Okay.
Can I chime in?
Sure,
a few
yeah,
things
please do.
concerning that page? What is the 907,000? Do you have a breakdown of where that went, or where is it going?
I do have that. You want to know the properties?
No, just the 907,000 categories.
Where the money came from?
No,
So the property, whether it was demo, cleanup, boarding?
yeah.
Okay.
Where is $907,000 going? I don't need specifics, just categories.
I think it's contracts, probably, that when we fixed the
Well,
old
all
hotel.
of it will
we
be
hired these people to
contracts,
take
so
down
it will
the
be
hotel.
between demos, whether we had to clean up the property, I mean, they went in and cut the grass, or boarded up the property.
Okay.
But I have
And
the
is
full
there a
list.
category for where the state reimburses us?
So we do get state reimbursement, but we pull those dollars directly from them, but I have to pull that number for you.
Okay, if you don't mind, I agree with Councilman Foote. And this weekend, I was trying to do some research on declaring blight in the city of Jackson an emergency. Just like a tornado, hurricane. There are several declarations that we can look at, and I want those or at least one, I want that declaration to be in our blight management plan that we submit to HUD. And I don't know if now, I'll let my colleague finish, but I want to come right back to that blight plan.
A declaration on blight, is what you said?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
I think, so there was a page back here somewhere where it showed your budget proposal versus last year, I think it was. Is this,
Where the money goes? I think
is
it's,
that page
I
17?
think so.
So,
18. Oh, 17,
is 17 the right page?
yes.
Okay, it's got, so far today, you've spent, I guess is the word, $9,203,000. What was your budget last year? What was planning department's budget last year? Do you
The
have that number?
approved budget,
For the year we're in right now.
so I think it was approved at around 13 million. When I came in, we had to make cuts, and so we've been kind of holding to stay under the 11 million number.
Well, I mean, so here's what, I want to be able to
So-
compare apples and apples. So the
25 was.
the budget, when we got started on this program back on October 1, what was do we know what the planning department's budget was on?
$12,598,673.
$12
$12.5 million.
12.5 million, okay. And so it's being reduced now, you're saying, you're coming to us with a proposal of 11.7 million. Okay. So that's about 700,000 or about maybe 6% decline, is that right? Is that fair? Something like that, okay.
Something like that.
All right. And all these dollars that we're talking about all come out of in and out of the general fund, is that right?
So this will be all general fund dollars
All
here.
general fund dollars, okay. But now on J-Tran, not all their money goes to the general fund, does it?
So what comes from general fund is what you see are the appropriations to J-Trans. So that's what we take from general fund to pay for their matches.
All right, so let's say this year's general fund is, when we bought those two, I hate to go back and harp on this, two $1 million buses, did those, now, we didn't pay all the $2 million. I mean,
Yeah,
the
we
federal
had to
grant-
pay 20% of that.
Yeah, so we had to pay 20%, which is about $400,000. So did that money come, is that coming out of the general fund this year?
So I think those were approved back in 2020,
But
but we
which-
do have some more coming in, so they will be coming out.
So
of
is that
this
money set
past
aside back then, or is that going to be out of this year's general fund?
So they have four more buses coming in that will be
They got four
included.
more $1 million buses?
I think so. Christine, are there a million?
Yes, the same buses that we've received already, they're coming in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
So those will be on our current 2026 budget.
So those four.
26,
What-
the previous two was in the prior year's budget.
So is that money, okay, all right, so the money's, if it's set aside from a previous year, then it's not accounted against our general budget, our general fund this year, is that correct?
Correct.
But we've got four more buses coming in we're gonna have to pay 20% on, so it'd be $800,000, is that right?
Is it coming from a previous
Correct.
budget, or is it coming from FY '26?
26. 26, right, Christine? Yeah, 26.
No, that PO was issued in June of 2025.
Okay.
The two buses that we paid for, that PO was issued in June of 2025.
Yes,
Wow.
Peter Ted was in CAO. There was a PO issued at that time, but I think what the council really wants to know, was the money encumbered at that time? And that answer is no.
Which means we gotta pay for it out of this year's budget.
So the line that we have
The
up
fund
to
was-
date would probably increase for J-Train. Go ahead, Christine.
That PO was brought over from last year. The funding for that PO was brought over from the last fiscal year. Because buses takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months on bill.
Okay,
Mind if I ask
go
a
ahead,
question?
yeah.
Miss Christine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Several things. So we are expecting how many buses this year? 4 or 2?
We have four more buses that should be in the next 3 to 4 weeks
And you're
before the end
saying
of this fiscal.
per bus, how much is our percentage? That 200,000? Because you said
Yes.
400,000 earlier.
He added the two together. Councilman Foote added the price for two.
Okay, so we're talking 800,000. Let me ask this. Are we looking at all into the passenger to bus ratio and just making sure that it is the right fit? I passed 2 buses this morning, and I don't know, less than 5 folks on it. Are we going in that right direction, or could we alter that plan?
Currently, sir, the funding that we've received was as a result of it started in 2015 where we had no buses. We kept buying used buses because the city had not funded purchasing buses in a timely manner. So we bid it on discretionary grants to ensure that the city of Jackson would have a replacement plan. We did not purchase any buses. We haven't purchased any buses since 2020. So we kind of lagged in our replacement plan due to several things, not having a PO, numerous things came up, obstacles, COVID, and so forth. So the purchase this year, as for older grants that we received in 2022, 2020, the funding that we need to spend now or we will lose. We had additional grants where we purchased the smaller vehicles. We've also utilized that. So we got 9 of the smaller vehicles in last year. We have purchased smaller vehicles. We have a mixed fleet.
Okay, thank you. I guess my question is, do we still just plow ahead with these large buses? How many passengers do
So
they
part
have?
of the thing that we'll be looking at this year is making an assessment of our transportation services to see how we can adjust to have a more cost-effective system. And so as we pilot some of the microtransit, as well as look at other analysis of buses and see how kind of the market is, we'll have additional updates.
Are we looking at fuel costs for the larger buses?
Yeah, so fuel costs, I think that's one of the things that's also included in their budget. They have an increase in fuel costs. So I think, we just need to rethink how we provide transportation services, and that's just one of the things that we have on our goals for this year as we look to bid out our operations.
Yes, Ms. Welch, how many passengers can we get on these larger buses?
The larger buses, with standing room total can seat about 35, depending on, the size and amount of goods they bring with them.
And how many?
But I need to speak
Go ahead.
for 1 second. Larger buses, this particular brand of buses is what we found through the last 20 years that can maintain their maintenance better because of the infrastructure in the city of Jackson. The smaller vehicles running across the streets and the infrastructure in Jackson tend to have major failures a lot quicker than the larger buses.
Okay. One other question concerning buses. What's the status of our bus stops? I drive by some areas and I don't see a shelter. There's nothing to, to lessen the impact of the sun. I really think that some of them are on the wrong side of the streets when it comes to the sun. What's the status of the bus stops, and are we looking for any upgrades?
Director Brown just mentioned that we came to you all last fall and asked for permission to submit a grant to get federal funding for benches and shelters. We were awarded $2.8 million as a result of that grant application. This next year's budget, we are starting the process of doing the design and implementation of purchasing shelters and benches in the coming year's budget. It's a part of the budget that's before you all for approval now.
And how much of the areas or the bus stops will be impacted? Or is all of them?
No, yes, as we did in our last placement of the ones that you see, like on 55 and over by Jackson State, we do an assessment based on ridership numbers, major stops, and we will continue that process because we have to make sure that they're all ADA accessible. So if you're building out a shelter, that's a more costly event than just simply putting a bench down.
Go ahead.
Ms. Welch, thank you. I'm looking at page 21 in our book or a handout here. I hope you've got this handout. And the title is JTRAN Transit Services Fiscal 2027 Funding Sources. And it's got a total of $17 million. And the categories are federal grants, $11.2 million. Does that include that funding for the bus stops? That grant you got of $2.3 million that you said you got for bus stops?
A portion of it. We did not allocate the full amount in this upcoming fiscal year. It's going to be a project that usually would probably take anywhere from 3 years, up to 3 years, to get full placement of all of the benches
Okay.
and our shelters.
So I'm just going to go down this list. So you're expecting some form of federal grants of $11.2 million. Part of that would probably be payment for buses and other things, and then maybe that part of the bus stop grant. Local funding, $4.9 million. Does that local mean that's coming from the city of Jackson?
Correct.
So that's our matching part, correct?
Yes.
That's for this coming year. We're expected to. The city's expecting to pay $4.9 million to as part of these funding sources. Does that include pay MV? I mean, the vendor? That's all in that number? Okay. Then fares revenue, 480,000, and then state funding, 400, so there's a total of 17 million for funding for J-Tran. How's that compare with last year? What was the funding for fiscal year 26? Do you know?
The total budget we had last year was 23 point some million dollars, but it included the purchase of the 6 buses as well as some smaller vehicles. And the general
I
fund
thought you
took,
said that 2 of the buses were paid for from 2025. But you got,
correct.
so
That was brought over, the 2 buses that we just paid for, that PO was brought over, which increased our budget that increased it up to $23 million.
all right, so for 2026,
That
J-Tran,
amount wasn't,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
that PO was encumbered. The funding was brought over. So
Okay.
that's how our budget increased to $23 million.
All right, so for 2026, the year we're in now, J-Tran's budget was 23 million. And for next year, you're
Correct.
expecting 17 million. But how much of
Correct.
that 23 million and how much of this 17 million are going to come out of the general fund? Can you tell me that?
Angela, did you have it in your presentation?
I'm looking at the page.
So
It's-
at the current year, out of the 17 million, if you look at the side, the local funding, that is what is coming out of, for general fund, as you mentioned.
So all of this 4.9 million local funding is coming out of the general fund for 27. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then,
And from last year, I pull that up right quick.
that's a big
I
budget.
think it's around the
That's a big
same,
budget
that
line.
we consistently spend similar across the year from general fund.
I didn't realize so much of the general fund was going to just J-Tran.
Well, 50% is our operations, that's a 50% match, so that, and that's a pretty large contract that we have, and then everything else is about 20%.
Okay, thank you.
Meanwhile, council members, this is Peter Tevison, CAO. I'll share with you an article electronically today where the city of West Memphis, Arkansas, just devised a program for public transit at $2 per ride. And it's door to door because they cannot run traditional legacy systems. And I think you're ultimately asking the same question I've been asking now for a number of months. We're putting almost $5 million in there. We need people serviced in this community. We know that public transit is vital to a healthy Jackson. I would get in the best bang for our buck for the $4.9 million that we're putting in there, and I don't think so. Thank you.
Are you trying to say that smaller micro type solutions could improve the quality of service for the citizens?
I think if you look around the country, that's true, but what I'm really saying is we need to solve a problem instead of propping up a legacy system. If you look around the United States, other municipalities have similar challenges with legacy public transit. There are a variety of approaches being engaged around the country. Some maintain some portion of legacy transit, add in microtransit. Some have moved to all microtransit. There are different solutions. What we have to do in Jackson is figure out what solution works for our population. We know we have a population that depends on this system, and I think we all feel we have a public obligation to service that population. But what we can't do is continue to buy 35 or 40-foot buses, run them that are generally empty, have shelters on the wrong side of the road or that don't adequately protect from the rain. We really need to think about what are we trying to provide in the best way. There are folks out here in communities not too far from us that are embracing new and improved ideas, and we need to do the same thing.
I appreciate your comment. That's very insightful.
Any other questions, Mr. Foote? If you think of any more, let me know. Mr. Hartley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Personnel, I think you say you lost 15 positions. Is there any particular trend or reason? Yeah, for the loss of 15 personnel.
No, we had a few retire or find other positions, and then we did let go of a few, so it's been a mix. But
Okay.
no particular trends. We have upped accountability and did some workflow changes, so.
And of course, you did the exit interviews, and was there a trend there?
No major trend.
Okay. Let's get back to Blythe. Where is Blythe specifically addressed here in your budget?
So in the budget, where we have other budgeted items, that 1.9,
What page?
17.
17. Okay.
Let me pull up the actual numbers. So there is a demolitions allocation that we that we did bring forward from last year. That's around $650,000 to pay for demolitions or board ups.
Okay, and I
And-
think, sorry, go ahead. I think one of Councilman Foote's favorite is our larger buildings, tearing those down, because at one time, we didn't have a budget for it, and now we have. So how much are we looking for demolition of houses, large buildings, like we still need to move the debris away from this site over there off of Bobby Rush Boulevard and 80. Where is that money at?
So that would be the same money we have allocated there. We also supplement some of the demolition cleanup from our HUD dollars. This year, we're putting about an additional 800,000 in there for that. And then whatever we receive back from the state, that we're able to collect back from the state, is all the budget that we'll have.
So does that money automatically from the state? I know we get something like 40% of the land value. Does that money automatically go to code enforcement or to planning department or general fund?
I think it automatically goes, so once we bid it out, Samantha has an account number that she used to pull those dollars from.
Okay. And if you don't mind, sir, I'd like to
Please
continue
continue.
on the Blythe line.
So we don't have a significant portion of money, again, and budgeted for it.
So we need more money
We need more money.
in that category.
That's
Any
why I said I
place-
would have the $50 million X.
Any place where we can get it from?
I mean, we're gonna look at different grants to try to get it, to see if we can find additional dollars. We're doing what we can from our CDBG dollars. I think state allocations, would help if we can get an increase there. Really trying to go out, a commercial is really taking half the budget. So like one of the 400,000 went to the demo of a commercial building. So that is, so being able to be stronger on some of the people who own these commercial properties would really help. And trying to collect some of the
Councilman
fines.
Foote?
One follow-up question. We talked about HUD dollars. How is I know for a while we had a very strained relationship with HUD, the city did, and we had some lien issues on some properties, whatever. How is our relationship with HUD right now?
I think it's getting better. We still are doing payback on a couple of things. We're losing some of our home dollars this year because of payback we had to do from prior years.
When you
But we
say
are,
payback, is that money that had been borrowed that had not been, that we still owed, or what,
it's money that we utilize, but apparently we didn't utilize it appropriately, or we didn't do the right tracking for it. So they have pulled it back because of different findings.
okay. So we're still sort of on probation?
But we have
or what?
improved our relationship. We've,
Okay.
I've done some restructuring with staff and assigned one person to each program. We're updating our reporting, and trying to do a better job of doing our drawdowns and, documenting where our money is going and updating the findings for each of the programs.
Okay. We really need to have a good relationship with HUD.
Yes, and speaking of relationship with HUD, HUD provided us, Councilman Foote and I were appointed by a resolution of this council to help work a Blythe management plan. That is almost completed, okay? It's the reason, the framework of it is based on what HUD gave us, okay? And so we're going to be pushing that along out of the legislative branch to the executive branch, okay? And I need to know exactly how we're going to do both of them, okay? Right now, it's like a 40-page document. And I'd like to just pause and say, Mr. Davidson, certainly appreciate, the gracious use and the cooperation of the departments, particularly Code Enforcement, Ms. Graves, also Public Works, Mr. James Caldwell, also HR Director, and also Ms. Caldwell, CFO. We have put together, I believe, the beginning of a great package, but we're going to have to hand it off from the executive branch, from the legislative branch to the executive branch. I need to know how is that going to work, and, I believe the package is relatively ready to go over to HUD. And like Mr. Foote said, we're going to be asking for millions. That's what it's going to take. The amount of equipment, personnel, and other needs is included in this document. So there's also a strategy, also a history. When we started having these meetings, we met with Hines County, we met with the local state delegation, including Senator Horn. We met with him. We met with a whole host of folks. All that information is included in this document, and we're going to be handing it off to the executive branch for execution. I think it's a good plan, and I believe as soon as we can get it over to HUD, the better. Do you have any questions?
No, if you let us know what you need from us, I think Samantha has sent over our list.
That's included in the document,
Yep.
all the blighted properties around the state, around the city, also, their strategy. And that's one of the main things we're missing. We're missing out on a strategy. We asked the administration to provide more funding in blight equipment, and so far we've gotten in probably half or 3/4 of what we need. The side cutters that's going to be coming forth before this body is one of those pieces that's going to be essential as well. And I'm looking at, and also there's a prioritization component inside it, meaning that, okay, this is how we choose to go into every neighborhood, every property, and remediate it. So we certainly appreciate the administration, but we want to get this on a fast track, okay? So if you don't mind, I will get that to you. There's one more piece, and that is this disaster declaration that I want to put in there, that we applied for that as well. So I will be getting that to you. Also, Drew Martin, the Attorney Martin, mentioned in his presentation that he would be looking for a legal person, an investigative person. I wholeheartedly endorse that idea. I want to see that. We need somebody that can go out to a lot of these properties and just do the investigation and take it a different channel than perhaps code enforcement can do. So we need it to go there. There's a piece of property I bush hogged at least 5 times to cut out trees on and stuff. The guy has a huge amount of land that's totally blocking out a whole neighborhood. And that's the kind of person I want to be investigated, and other things. But we need to look at a strategy that perhaps can supplement our code enforcement process, and maybe a civil process. We need to go after some folks for the damage they're doing to our community. We really need to go after them, and we need to take them to court. And when if they've skipped environmental court, or we didn't get any kind of resolution environmental court, we need another avenue. And then making some examples up front. And I believe that's going to come from the investigation. And so I wholeheartedly endorse that. Burnout properties. We still have a bunch of problems with burnout properties.
Yep.
People will, the property catch fire or a tree fall on it. First thing the insurance company is going to do is come and write them a check, a partial check. They take that check, rediscover a new life someplace. Meanwhile, the property grows up, nothing's happening. We need to go after that, find out how we can stop that. And these are questions definitely that affects Blythe.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, sir.
And that is that our federal delegation needs to be big part of the solution here. We can't do it all by ourselves or even with just the state's help. They've got a lot going on. But the federal delegation, it needs to be, embrace this, and we need to be convincing to them that it's, we're serious about, solving this problem. Thank you.
And one of the last points, after we take our skid steers, our forestry mulchers, go in there and clean out a property. After we take our excavator, go in and bring down a building, we get it cleaned up, then the question is, then what? So I know, I guess a part of your team, Ms. Smith, and
Sutton, Dr. Sutton and Smith.
yes, the doctors,
Yeah.
I know they're working out something, but we need that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because what we need is, after we clean up, the neighbor's immediately going to say, now what? And then if we give an opportunity, it's going to go right back up, presenting more of a public health hazard.
Yep.
So we need something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, part of the strategy that we're looking at is starting to target streets and neighborhoods so that we can start clearing out one area at a time to see more of the impact, and also thinking about working with the neighbors and the community to see how do we redevelop the area. If they want parks, or we can offer the land out for purchase, for reinvestment, or different opportunities that we could do to bring the neighborhoods back. Because a large part of our issues that once we demo, particularly the commercial properties, they become illegal dumping sites that we still have to go clean up. So we really have to get that out in terms of
I think you
development.
have two very, very intelligent folks over there that are figuring this out. Land banking, that may be a component.
Community land
We
trust.
need to know
Yeah.
just what, and if you can present something to the council, if you see an ordinance we need to put in place, then please present that as well. But the next logical component, hopefully rolling out in August now, is the cleanup. We're getting out there this month, okay, within weeks. New equipment, new locations. There's a plan in the Blythe management plan that talks about a neighborhood, talks about the number of houses that we can demolish in a day, talks about setting up a command center, equipment, personnel. It lists it out.
Yep. We'll be
But
ready.
one of the things that I'm going to add to that is our ability to go in and clean up the sides of the road in this particular pilot area. In some cases, vegetation is growing 6, 7, 8 feet out into the road. Folks have to go into oncoming traffic in order to navigate it.
Correct.
So that's one addition, but I just wanted to make sure you understood it's coming.
Yep, we're ready. The city can't do land banking ourselves. That legislation didn't pass, but we've already started partnerships talking with JRA, who can assist us with those efforts.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I can't think of anything else, but appreciate your patience in entertaining those items.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you have anything else, let me know. Mr. Griselle and Ms. Clay, would either of you seek recognition?
I don't have any additional comment.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Okay, I'll share a few things, and in the interest of time, I just want to share a variety of things, and you can choose to comment or not comment on any of them. But I appreciate the work that you do. I remember when we met before your confirmation in my office, and we were just going over the large scope of responsibilities that planning is responsible for, and it is a lot. And so I appreciate you working to get your hands around it. And we talked about a lot of things here, but I want us to pull back and sort of keep the main thing and zoom out. And I think over the past year, you've done some great work to sort of reorganize and do some underlying, research in those pieces. And I'm hoping in the next year, we can really see some traction on these things. So I'll quickly go through these divisions super fast. Planning and zoning, we've been talking about modernizing the zoning ordinance for a while. We have got to look at what we want as a city in 2026. And we need to be looking at land use, zoning ordinance, the entire thing. So that, I feel like we're really behind on planning and zoning matters. Building licensure and permitting, I think we should look at this as two things. We need to make it easier for good businesses to do business in Jackson. And we have also got to stop letting bad businesses do whatever they want without permits, without licenses, and just moving forward. I would love for us to get comfortable with 3 words: stop work order. If you are not complying, we have got to be stricter with stop work orders and make sure that we bring folks into compliance. I also know that surplus property is included under building licensure permits, and we've got to do way more than 10. There is 10 surplus properties disposed. We need way more than that. So I don't know what the laws are in terms of, do things have to be market value, or what can we give away to nonprofits, or what can we, whatever. But we should be, as much as possible, getting rid of the surplus property that we have that's serving no benefit and that we're responsible for. Code enforcement. I mean, we've talked endlessly about code enforcement. There's lots of details here, but we know what the 4 main problems are. One is we just don't have enough money, and we have got to aggressively be pursuing state funds, federal funds, and other funds to do that. The second big issue that hasn't come up today is, in an ideal world, we wouldn't be spending a dime in this area because people will be doing what they're supposed to be doing voluntarily. But if we do, any dime that we spend is for property that has gotten so bad and has gone through such a convoluted process that we are saying we're actually going to step into private property and we're going to do the work ourselves. That's crazy. And any dime that we spend on that, by law, we're supposed to get that money back. We're supposed to say, you wouldn't keep up of your own property. So we went on your property, we spent $7,000 to board it up and get that truck on and weed and do this and do that and do that. And so now we're charging you the $7,000 that we had to pay, plus here's an additional fee of $500 on top of that because we had to do all this administrative work. The flip side to us only having spent $900,000 is that we've collected $12,000. So that's 2 problems that we need to be looking at equally. We need more money to be going out there because we have $80 million worth of work to do. But then once we do that $80 million worth of work, we better get the $80 million back. And you're never going to have a perfect system. Okay, this is the real world. But getting $12,000 out of $900,000 spent is so atrociously beyond failure, it's incalculable. So we have got to not only find additional funds for addressing the blight, but we've got to find ways to raise our collection rates. And clearly, putting liens on properties is not a sufficient solution to raising compliance rates. We also have a capacity gap, which is why I'm excited about the volunteer program. And then we have got to streamline the process so that any new properties that come into a code enforcement situation can be addressed without 9 months, 12 months of rigmarole. I believe rental registration and vacant property registration fall under code enforcement. I don't know what's happening with those. I think we need to, I think probably a fraction of our rental properties are registered in the city. So I would like to, we've got to get people in compliance. If you are not registering, you can't rent your property. Stop them. And then similar thing, I think we have a vacant property registration. If your property becomes vacant, you're supposed to notify the city. Do we have a single property on the vacant property registration list? We've got to get a better grasp on those things. And then economic development. The thing that we heard when we had the grocery store hearing earlier this year, and the thing that we hear from the Mississippi Municipal League, is the single thing that helps economic development is site plan development, site plan development, site plan development. We need to know the specs of every major grocer in the Southeast. How many square feet are they looking for? How many parking spaces are they looking for? Do they have to be close to transit? What do they need? And then we need to be aggressively going after these grocery store owners and saying, hey, I saw your specs are XYZ. I can come to Jackson, I will show you 5 properties today. And we've got to have the lawn mowed, work with the commercial realtor, you do all the things to show them, you've got this property, this property, this property, this property. Let me give you the counts of how much traffic goes by here. Let me give you all the details that you need, and working aggressively to make the case for why they should put their businesses here. We've got to be doing more site plan development and being more proactive about that outreach. Housing and community development, I think Clutch is an amazing solution. We've got to be advertising that more. And then transportation, I think y'all are doing a real good job. I appreciate Ms. Welch and the leadership she provides there. It's really good. So again, we've talked about a lot of specifics, but as we zoom back, I don't know if we're nailing any of these things. And I think we've got to be way more aggressive in FY27. I know we've had to do reshuffling and laying the groundwork, but I hope this is the year that we can really see progress on these things, and not marginal around the edges, but I mean, we've got to do really, really aggressive things. And, I see we're giving out 12 surveys of people who come on the, co-location. I mean, that's great. But there's this perception that businesses feel like it's just too hard to do business. And so we can learn from those. Put out a social media post that says, tell us the horror stories you've had trying to get a permit from the city. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. And then that can be case studies for how we can improve and fix and make sure that doesn't happen again. We've got to be clear-eyed about that. So again, I would just look at these major workflows and say, what can we really do? Not temper around the edges to really, move some dust around, but we've got to see huge progress in these areas, I would suggest. Mr. Hartley?
Yes, and I wholeheartedly agree. Over in West Jackson, we have a saying, we don't believe it till we see it. And I think we need to show some folks something, okay? I'm looking back at your vacant positions, and I see at least 2, maybe 3 folks over in rental registration. You need a research tech, you need an code enforcement officer. All these positions, and they're in blue here, to me, they are extremely needed. We're talking a mechanical inspector, zoning administrator, housing rehabilitation manager in rental registration, assistant planner and building permits, and so on. Every one of these positions, are a vital part of us getting our job done. And I'm hoping that you would expedite the employment of all these, or the filling of all these vacancies.
So unfortunately, I can't afford to fill all these vacancies, but we're looking to bring in 5 of the, 11 you see here.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we already have a zoning administrator. We have an intern right now, so.
Who is going to be getting the uniforms?
Everybody. shirts and,
So so you could be wearing it.
we can have uniforms that are service. We have a lot of service staff that interact with residents that we want to have a more uniform look so that residents are able to identify our staff. And we,
Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Brown-Thomas, Ms. Clay, Mr. Griselle, Mr. Hartley, Mr. Foote, any other questions, comments, notes, ideas for planning and development?
I think you covered it all, Mr. Chair. I just pray that everything you said was received and that there will be a response moving forward. Our city is in dire need of this service. We have to have stronger code enforcement. We have to have more teeth. I would love to see the day that we do actually collect on a lot of these debts. I know Mr. Taylorson mentioned a while ago, right when he was confirmed, that we were going to look at collections. We keep complaining about things, but we're not collecting. These are not revenues, but this is money that we definitely need to collect so that we can put it to greater use. And so I just expect better from our planning department. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griselle. Does anybody else seek recognition on this issue?
I'd just like to say we need to look at a complete overhaul for the planning and development department.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Does anyone else seek recognition on planning? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate the information provided. And I think up next is Communication and Constituent Services. Thank you, team. Mr. Lon, Ahmet, you're ready. Whenever you're ready, feel free to kick us off.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Budget Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today on behalf of the Department of Communications and Constituent Services. Our department is built around 4 functional areas that work together for residents to keep them informed and connected to city government. Communications, the action line, 311, constituent services, and publications. Together, these divisions currently operate with 11 positions, reporting through a structure directly to my office as director. Before I walk through our F127 budget request, I want to take a moment to recognize our division managers. We have Ms. Sheila Sheriff here, who is publications manager. We have Ms. Perline Campbell, who leads our constituent services office. And we have Ms. Kai Williams, who leads our PEG and Film Jackson office, and Mr. Andy Boone, who leads our 311 line. Turning to the budget, our F127 request totals $802,797, a 28.2% increase over our fiscal year 26 budgeted amount. I want to be direct with the committee about what's driving that number. It's not growth in our existing operations. Our current 11 positions remain lean and stable totaling $531,855 in base salaries. The increase is structural. It reflects the PEG function moving into the general fund and additional divisions transferring into our department by statute, not new spending on programs we already run, so no new spending. In fact, outside of personnel cost, our request goes in the opposite direction. Supplies and materials, along with other services and charges, are proposed to decline a combined 42.6% year over year. The capital outlay and debt services lines that appear as new this year are simply a reclassification of our existing leased equipment payments, not new obligations. We're also proposing two modest staffing actions this year, a director salary adjustment and one new administrative assistant position to support the growing workload that comes with these expanded responsibilities. Combined, these two items total $61,118. The salary adjustment is to bring my office in line with other department salary lines. We can have a discussion about this as we move along. We need to make printing and publications a revenue generator. Ms. Sheila will be able to speak to that some. We're doing a substantial analysis with our print operations and trying to figure out how to better utilize our PEG operations, and Ms. Williams can speak to that. Slide 1, we're organized here under the 5-year budget history is what we're looking at. Fiscal year 27 budget requested we're bringing before you, including 2 staff proposals for your consideration. On our 4 functional areas, the department is organized under the Department of Communications and Constituent Services. Communications, we have Communications Manager, Mayor Staff Assistant, Multimedia Services Coordinator. Those are the positions identified on paper, but those positions are the Director of PEG, Kai Williams, and 2 multimedia service coordinators under PEG. The action line, we have an action line manager and who also serves as a complaints representative, and 2 other complaint representatives. Under constituent services, we currently have the Director of Constituent Services. As you know, in the budget I presented last year, we had 2 positions there. We do need more help in constituent services. Publications, we have the manager of publications, and then then we have a supervisor and an offset press operator. What each division does, communications handles press and media releases, includes crisis communications, runs the city website, social media, and public-facing content, and sets citywide branding standards and supports departments' outreach. Our action line, as you know, operates the city's non-emergency call center and online intake, routes and tracks service requests through to resolution, and analyzes request data and surges to support emergencies. Our Constituent Services Division fields resident inquiries, complaints, and mayor's office casework, liaises with neighborhood and community groups for City Hall, and issues proclamations, citations, and tracks service request trends. Publications operates the in-house print shop for city departments, provides design, layout, bindery, and mail distribution services, recovers costs via interdepartmental billing, and handles compliance printing. You see the organizational chart there. Every position reports up through one of the 4 division leads to the director. You can see the salaries and a couple of operational details, phone and vehicle assignments for each role. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lott. Are all the people on this organization chart located in City Hall, up on the 3rd floor?
No, sir. The PEG office is located in the 633 building on State Street.
Are they going to move by the September 30th?
We hope so.
Where are they expected to move to?
So that that hasn't been determined. The CEO did present a proposal. The proposal has been adjusted and edited and changed. And so that may be something we can discuss in executive session. But yeah, they're supposed to move by the end of September, is my understanding. We've not determined the location.
Okay. So up above you, who's your immediate supervisor?
As a director, I report to the mayor.
So the mayor's your supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you interface with the new chief of staff now then?
Yes.
Can you tell me how that works? I'm just curious.
Okay, so I work with the chief of staff, and the chief of staff presides over the mayor's staff on the third floor. But we do work together as it relates to communicating the mission and needs of the city and the mayor's agenda and his goals. You asked if you asked if these offices were all located in City Hall. Constituent services, the chief of staff decided to move the constituent services office out of City Hall to the Porter Building. As well as the action line, 311 has moved out of City Hall at the direction of the chief of staff. And our publications is also scheduled to be relocated. We don't yet know where, but I would.
But you're still in City Hall.
Yes, and I would advise that we decide on relocating publications as soon as possible. The building they're in, there's a flea infestation there. There's been some issues with standing water in the area back there.
Which building is it?
Is that behind the library?
Behind the Alexander Library.
Way out there?
Yeah, it's been there for years.
Yeah,
I would say-
Decades, I believe.
I'll actually, Ms. Sheila, do you want to speak to that while we're on it?
Yeah, can you, if you could, I'd like to hear about that. I mean, for purposes of unity of command, I have a problem with moving all the departments. If Mr. Lott's in City Hall, for moving departments all over the place makes it, I wonder about that.
Yeah, and I want us to come back to constituent services move too.
Okay. Sheila, Sheriff, Office of Publications. We're currently located in the same area as Records Management. We share area together. We been there 2 years as of July, and we have standing water across the sidewalk at the front, which is we've complained about since we've been there. So the water has been running for more than 2 years. We've had electrical outages. We've had raccoons. We've had fleas. We're currently dealing with a gnat issue and also flooding from the air conditioner. Yeah. Also,
City owns?
no, the city leases this building.
Yeah, that's the building.
The
this
city
is
leases this
the
building.
whole building where the library's at,
Mhm.
that they're going to
Oh, is that
perhaps donate to the city.
this one we had we paid 1 month's rent?
Yes, yes.
Really, that's. Yeah, what? But I mean, recently had the
Yeah.
hot water, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's one issue after the other. And right now, we're not even at capacity. When we were put there, the building was old, electrical is old. Building maintenance put as much electrical in there as they could. And so we currently still have to unplug something and plug something else up to operate. So it's been one thing after the other since we've been there.
Mr. Lott, do you have a suggestion on where they should move?
Well, I'd love for the CAO to chime in. I know the initial recommendation, I believe, was to the medical mall, but anywhere but there would be great.
Was one of the areas of consideration in the basement?
And yes, so the Chief of Staff suggested also the basement. There was a concern of whether or not the equipment could fit there.
The basement of City Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Davis, do you have any comment?
I don't see any way the equipment fits in the basement of City Hall.
Okay.
You know, we've got to think about this, one thing with another. No one should work in the conditions they work in.
True.
But to move them costs money. So we need to figure out where to come up with the cost to move them and the cost to pay for wherever we're moving them to. On the other hand, if the city accepts the building as a donation, then there needs to be a plan to make the repairs at the building so it will be functioning and they can continue to work there. But all of these things cost money, and quite frankly, there has to be some real discussion at some point about what do we expect out of our publications department and what we're paying for. With all due respect to my good friend, Mr. Lott, we can't make money off of this department. That's prohibited by law. So I heard him say he wanted to make some revenue, and that would be wonderful, but that would be the city engaging in private business and subsidized by the government. That's simply not allowed unless it's a controlled monopoly like water and sewer. So, you know, from my standpoint, I think we still have not properly evaluated what we expect or what do we think we need in 2026 from a publications department. In the meantime, I hope the city seriously looks at accepting the donation of the building and what we can use modernization funds for to immediately provide some relief over there in working conditions, perhaps as we take a little bit of longer time to figure out what is a good plan. If we want to keep a full publications department, we'll have to look at that as well, but I don't see that necessarily as something we're going to solve in the next month as we do this budget.
Ask a question, Ms. Sheriff. You know, one of the questions come up is, you know, what, if you were to imagine going to a new place, what would it be like and what are your priorities? In other words, the amount of work you get in different areas, what are some of those things?
Well, previously, we had more work than we currently have since we moved. I've been with the city 37 years.
Wow.
And when the print shop was set up to save the city money by centralizing all the print in one area and not having so many desktop printers, not having all these copy machines, you know, everywhere. Everything was centralized in one area. Over the years, well, I said in the last few years, it kind of went sideways. But, yeah, we started out doing 5,000 copies, anything over 5,000 copies. The management at that time sent it out to outside vendors. Yeah. So we've come a long way. We do 20,000, 40,000 forms for police. You know, we do forms for every department that uses hard copy forms for outside and public use. We do brochures, Parks and Rec, all their branding and flyers. We were doing wide format. This morning I noticed 3 areas of the gateway banners empty. So we did gateway banners and everything. Our wide format went down. So now we're sending banners out to outside vendors when all that was inside. We started doing apparel. The city didn't used to do uniforms. We invested in embroidery machines. We can only use one at this time because we have nowhere to plug the other one up. We do T-shirts. We do bags, all sorts of things. We have a laser printer that we can't plug up. You know, it's box. So right now we're like in a box.
So is that, you know, a lot of those electrical related issues, can that be, you know, can we run new lines in and
They
upgrade?
did. The whole box, right now, the whole box needs to be, probably for the entire building, needs to be redone. It's probably 100 years old. So that they put it to capacity. Care and maintenance has put it to capacity to what it can handle.
Okay.
Ms. Clay?
Yes. Now, from listening to this discussion, it sounds like we're in third world in the city of Jackson. So what I suggest is rather than talking about a budget or anything else. We look at the working environment, the conditions, etc. I know we can't make a profit, but based on what she just said and what we used to do in the city, there is no way that we should not be doing those things at the current time and eliminating all these contracts and eliminating the renting of machines. So I think this is another area that we need to overhaul, revamp, and rethink.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Mr. Hartley?
Yeah, and just one other thing. The other day, we had JPS here. They were talking about a $20 million renovation over there at Hughes Field, Hardy Middle School. I'm interested to see, would that help us? If we could work out something with JPS. They have a very large building, and they're looking at renovating for other reasons, but perhaps, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Now, Peter Tavis, the CAO, you got me thinking, what about the Career Center that's right around the corner from where this is? Because these seem like skills that, Ms. Sheriff, you and your folks could be teaching yet another generation of people to do as well. So I think you're thinking, Mr. Hartley, about if we're going to stay in this business, how do we take this business, and I say business, I don't mean profit making. If we're going to stay doing this and we have some very passionate folks who want to do it, how can we get more out of that? And there would be a better location right around the corner, if not Hughes Field, the Career Center, and that may get you some interns and some help to help you do what you're doing as well. So we'll follow up on that. I'll get with Ms. Sheriff and Director Lott, and we'll put some brain power together and storm on that.
Awesome.
Excellent. I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
I just said awesome.
Okay, one other thing we talk about, I understand, Mr. Tavison, we can't be out there looking for ways to make profits, but we can look for ways to pay for the business we currently have. I'm assuming. No?
If you're competing.
Yeah.
Peter Tavis and CAO, you can't compete with business in the private sector. There are businesses that do banners, that do publishing, that do printing. So government's not allowed to go compete with business that already exists in the private sector. Again, if you look at what the law allows as a revenue fund, such as water or sewer, there are things where there's no private alternative.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we're not talking past each other. I think what you're describing is we can't open City of Jackson print shop and sell T-shirts to
Correct.
anybody who runs by. Are you referring to if one department orders things, we should make sure that that department is paying? Is that what you're describing, Mr.
Yes.
Hartley?
That's
Okay,
what I'm
all
referring
right,
to.
yes.
Yeah, look, I know
Okay.
we can't be out there making
Gotcha.
a buck.
Thank you.
because-
Lemonade stands and.
Yeah, I mean, as desperately as we need it, we can't be out there. But if we can somehow get it to where, the things we're producing can help us balance the budget in that area, and just one other thing with balancing that budget, I'm not looking at us advertising as much to the public. I'm talking about a lot of things, especially looking at these outside contractors that we're currently paying big dollar to, I'm assuming, to do those things we can't do. So if we can save money, then I would be all for that.
I want to first thank you for your many years of service. So
Yes,
Thank you for
37
doing that.
years.
It doesn't look like you've been doing anything for dang near 4
Over,
decades,
she
but
must have started
we
when she was
appreciate
12.
your work.
Man, you smooth.
Mr. Lott, did you finish or would it be help? I know we got sidetracked. Do you have
That's-
more of the
that's fine.
presentation?
We can continue to move through unless you have other questions. I know that my other division has wanted to have a moment to brief you as well. So that's the organizational chart there. The staffing summary, the $531,855 shown above reflects current base salaries for the 11 positions. It's not the same figure as the personnel service line in the fiscal year 27 budget. That budget category also includes benefits, payroll taxes, and in the fiscal year 27, positions being transferred into this department by statute, along with the PEG function moving out of the general fund. Those changes are the primary driver of the personnel service increases covered later in the presentation. The 5-year budget by category, changes in the proposed budget's personnel services category come from moving PEG to the general fund, as I've stated, and moving over the other divisions that are part of the department. You can see the next slide, the budget comparison. Well, did I skip one? There we are. Okay, so the budget composition by category. This chart just shows while the total is growing. In fiscal year 23, personnel was about 80% of our budget. In fiscal year 27 proposal, it's nearly 91%. Every other category is shrinking as a share of the total. It's not a general cost growth story, it's a personnel story. Yes.
With that, does that include insurance and other benefits to the personnel?
Does this one, or is it in the 27?
Does that include personnel incentives like insurance and other things? It does. Okay, so that may help drive up the price as well. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. Law, this on page titled Personnel Services, semicolon, what's changing? Maybe you covered this, but when I saw the numbers here,
Oops,
so,
that's his next slide.
what's that?
That's his next slide, sir. He's
Okay.
about to get
Oh,
there.
good, okay. I was reading ahead, I didn't realize it.
Per the proposed budget notes, the increase comes from moving PEG to the general fund and from moving over divisions that are part of the department.
Okay, but my question was, initially, it looks like the budget for your department was $498,000, and then it shows actual of $250,000. So, why the drop there on the top of that slide from 498 to 250, and now I see it going up to 729? But was there something moved in between the initial budget and now that generated that? You see what I'm talking about?
So we have actually, I think total budget-wise, we had a, let me look up, a 42.6%. We've used 42.6%? Is that correct?
Yes.
So what, is that a savings?
Yes. And so the increase, that reflects moving the departments, the divisions under the department.
Okay, okay.
Does that make sense? It comes from moving PEG to the general fund and from moving over divisions that are part of the department by statute. So that's why that number is 729,554.
Yeah. I mean, I was just interested in the 498 originally budgeted, and now it says the actual so far is 250. So that's $248,000 that was that
That's money that we didn't spend.
didn't spend. Okay. Well, good for you. Now, does Mr. Sibley work with you? Where I see him all over the place.
Mr. Sibley,
Where is he hanging his hat?
Mr. Sibley is the special assistant to the mayor. He reports directly to the mayor.
Oh, okay.
But
So
we
he's
do
not
work
in your-
together on special
He's
projects.
not in your organization chart? Okay.
No, he's not. All right. Slide 11. $110,755 of this total was funded through the PEG fund, not the general funds. All right. Slide 12. Again, that it shows the 11 positions totaling $531,855. Net change here, 3 fewer positions and $101,356 less in base salary. That is visible in one budget instead of split across the departments, the PEG fund and the general government fund.
Mr. Lott,
Yes, sir.
you pardon me by going back to page 9. Capital outlay, just curious as, okay, last for fiscal year 26, we very, very little. So fiscal year 27, what are some of those projects you may be looking at?
What is what now?
Page 9,
I'm
the
here.
capital outlay on the very last bar graph. Fiscal year 27 proposed.
Brandon, you want to speak to it?
Is that moving expenses?
Yeah, it possibly might be.
Brandon Jackson, Budget Manager. The capital outlay is the equipment for publications.
Equipment for publications?
The lease purchases for the equipment and publications.
Okay, why is 26 very, very little? It's because of a move or something? Look like between 26 and 27 is drastically different.
So within 26, I would rather Ms. Sheriff answer that question, to be completely honest with you, to
Yeah,
give
just if you can
better
just
answer.
get an answer. Thank you, sir.
That's that same thing we were just asking about the 250, the 498 versus 250. That's that gap there is the same gap we just discussed up
Some
here.
market difference between those two
Yeah,
years.
where was it? Or maybe it's,
Sheila, Sheriff. Some of the equipment that we used to have were the offset presses that we no longer have, so we don't have any kind of service or support on those. Only thing we have right now is web CRD, and it's once a year. I think it's $10,000. So next year's budget, we hope to get support on, our budget remains the same, basically. So as our prices increase on support, we have to kind of pick and choose what we do, and the money that we recoup from chargebacks, we try to filter that along the budget line items to help cover the cost of service. So next year, we're proposing that we upgrade web CRD, upgrade the software and maintenance on the embroidery machines, and also hopefully invest in a new T-shirt machine. So that cost is going up. Does that answer your question? Not really?
Did that answer your question?
oh, it's my question?
Did that answer your question
Oh, the,
about capital outlay?
Yeah,
No,
no, that
no,
was my
that's-
question.
Oh, that was your question? I'm sorry.
Ms. Claire, Mr. Griselle, do either of you seek recognition?
Go ahead.
While she's up there, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can the print shop handle the uniforms for planning? I know our clerks get shirts from them all the time. You know, a lot of entities get stuff from them. And is that something that they can take on?
Yes. I
So that's
believe
a
we've already
money-saving
done
thing
some,
there.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I believe we've already done some embroidery shirts for divisions of planning already.
So with the uniforms that they do have, would you all be able to handle that also?
We can definitely have that conversation and try to get everything on a timeline.
Okay, 'cause I think that'll be a lot more beneficial instead of going outside. You all, if you have the capabilities, do all the uniforms for the city. I know here at JPS, we can't go outside. We have a print shop, we have graphic arts, and they handle a lot of stuff that we do too, in-house. Thank you.
Mr. Griselle, just on that note, we are currently staffed as 3 people. Where in the past, we were staffed at 5, so we have to take that into consideration also.
I mean, I understand that. I just think even for ordering, that's something that should still go through the print shop. I just think it's a different level. It adds another level of savings for the city.
Thank you, Mr. Gazelle. Mr. Law?
Okay. All right, slide 13. This is our proposed staffing changes. I mentioned earlier the director's salary adjustment is to come in line with the other directors, other departments, and there was an administrative position in the proposal from last year. We're adding that position back at $42,118 to support the workload in the communications department. Any questions there?
Question, is there any proposed changes to the personnel with constituent services? Or the addition of personnel to constituent services?
We certainly do need more people in constituent services, as we lost the one position that we had in the current fiscal year for 2025-26. I'll take this opportunity to have Ms. Pearl come up, the Director of Constituent Services.
Good morning, Pearl Campbell, Constituent Services. Currently, there's myself in Constituent Services, and we do have one employee that was moved over from another department that's there. Being that Constituent Services is an active department, and it is the face of City Hall, I am requesting that we get a full-time person there to help me in carrying out the duties throughout the city, throughout the community.
Is that reflected in this budget anywhere? Or can we
It's not
add it?
currently reflected in this budget. Ms. Pearl mentioned that there is one person that is currently working or assisting in constituent services, but that person is housed under the planning department. So on paper, it doesn't exist, and if you want to speak more to that, but she's certainly, constituent services, as she said, is the face of City Hall and deeply embedded in the community, and Ms. Pearl is juggling right now. We all are, and she certainly could use some help.
And I agree. I think the council rely on them as well.
Right.
And they are constituent services, the face of our problem-solving apparatus. In addition to going out to community meetings, it definitely need to be more than one person assigned to that department.
And I also would like to request from the council a vehicle.
A what?
A vehicle,
A vehicle.
yes.
Now, can I ask a question?
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I can't remember, we were talking about moving personnel around. Where are you located?
I have been moved by the chief of staff over to the Porter Building.
Do you think that's the best place for constituent service? Is that easier than City Hall?
No, I was originally here in City Hall, and I would like to come back to City Hall.
And you were in the basement, right?
I was in the basement, but there are offices available on the 4th floor
Okay.
as well.
I think the optics of it need to be considered. Folks that are coming down to City Hall because of some issue, they don't want to be going to another building. They're coming to City Hall, where the
Right.
mayor's at, where their issues, at the center point of their issues. So I agree. I think you need to be in City Hall. I think you need additional vehicle. I think you need additional personnel.
Okay.
Well, you can't fight City Hall, but you should be able to get an audience at City Hall.
I agree.
So I think that, I think it'd be better to have your office here in City Hall. And because when I talk to constituents or whatever, and they call up and I think it's better to say, go down to City Hall and whatever the office number is, and there'll be, if my deputy city clerk can't talk to you, Ms. Perline
Right.
can talk to you, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would be, messaging-wise, a good move.
Ms. Clay?
Thank you.
I think she was just saying that she agrees, and I also agree with that. Councilman Parkinson, you mentioned one day in jest that maybe we need a storefront at the medical mall where people can just walk in and talk to constituent services. And I completely agree that they should be here to meet with people, as they come in. Constituent services does a lot of the groundwork that council relies on, that our community relies on. And like Ms. Pearl said, she is the face. They are the face of City Hall, and we need to support them just like we support JPD. We're not required to have a chief of staff, but we do need constituent services. And I think we need to work that out as best as possible as we go into deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gazelle.
Yeah.
Before I turn it back over to Mr. Lott, I just want to make a logistical note. I will have to leave in about 20 minutes, but I don't want to cut this conversation short. So at that time, if the conversation's still going, I'll ask my council colleagues if we'd prefer to recess, maybe before our zoning meeting. Elsewise, I will turn over chairing the meeting presiding over the meeting to either Vice Chair Foote or President Hartley. So just wanted to make that logistical note so we could be thinking about it. But in the meantime, I'm happy to turn it back over to Mr. Lott to continue the presentation.
Okay, we'll move through, and I want to get to any remaining questions. Well, let me pause here since I want to get to my other two managers to have them speak briefly. So Ms. Kai Williams, before Chairman Parkinson has to go.
And don't rush on my accord. I just wanted to note that we can either recess or I'm happy to share presiding.
Hi, Kai Williams, PEG Network. I think this particular year, it's really simple. We need to get back on air. We need a location that actually will allow us to do film production, television production, and have a station to get back to. So that really is what our priority at PEG is. So basically, our ask is supporting a permanent studio station for PEG, a reliable master control system. When we left the Metro Center, right before we left the Metro Center, the master control crashed and it's not working. It also was a little antiquated, so I'm not even sure that it makes sense to get it back on air. And there were issues with it being able to send out a proper HD signal. So that's something we're looking at. We're also looking to upgrade our equipment. Basically, for the last 7 years, we've been kind of piecemealing the old equipment and buying like accessories to be able to just kind of compete with the industry standard now. We really need a complete overhaul so that we can compete and provide adequate production look for this decade. So that's basically what our asks are. And I'm welcome to receive questions. I'm not sure exactly what, I don't want to keep talking.
You're right. There is a discussion also. I know that Kai's spoken with the city attorney's office about a previous contract or agreement with Comcast. You want to speak on that?
Yes, since I've been here, approximately 10 years on and off, we've never been under a fully operational franchise agreement with Comcast. When I arrived initially, we were supposedly in negotiations with it, and we haven't really been receiving funding out from that particular franchise agreement for the public access network. And I'm not sure exactly where we're standing. It feels like every few years, we start the process with legal, discussing it, and then either people change, or they leave, or something happens, so we're stuck back in this cycle of not knowing or understanding where our funding is coming from. I do know that if we enter a proper contract, franchise agreement contract, as it relates to the public access support from not just Comcast, but all the cable providers that are under our right-of-ways, that it's possible that we can get funding or some type of assistance through that franchise agreement allocation that's for public access networks.
I got a question.
Yes, Mr. Foote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the world of media has really evolved rapidly over the past 10 years. And back 10 years ago, you had cable companies, that was the primary way people got their TV and whatever. But now we've got streaming. So all these people have cut the cord, blah, 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 and they're moving, and they're just getting it through their streaming service. I wonder my question is, I've got a streaming service now, where do I get PEG? Is it to show up on streaming? Does it, and then you got social media on top of that. Is there something we need to do with PEG to make sure that people can find it on streaming, or is there a website, or, can you talk about the evolution of media and how PEG can continue to be relevant?
Okay, yes. So the answer to how you can find us on on the website, on the internet.
Sure.
We actually have a very active, robust YouTube page that we stream from, which is actually linked on our city website. So if you click on the PEG television on the website, it sends you straight to our YouTube page. And that's what we're operating on now. So all the council meetings, all the press conferences, everything that we're filming in the city of Jackson is there. Yes.
We need to get the word out. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Yes, every once in a while, we post it on our social media platforms, but we can definitely do a better job at promoting that.
Okay.
The other answer to your question is that all cable providers have a public access channel that is mandated by the federal government.
Yeah.
And we were airing on Channel 18. We actually own Channel 18 and Channel 19.
This is on the Comcast network?
On Comcast. The Jackson Public Schools, we've allowed them to operate on Channel 19. Because PEG's not on the air, they also operate part of the time on Channel 18. So they're just basically showing the same thing on Channel 18 that they're showing on 19.
Okay.
But that's because we're not on the air.
Okay. Very helpful. Thank you.
Is it possible that you can, I guess with your supervisor, start looking for the type building?
I've already identified a couple of places that I think would be ideal.
At what cost?
I'm not sure exactly. What I do know is that under the parking garage, the old public access PEG network that's under the parking garage on Capitol Street, across from the federal building, is still outfitted for PEG, so much so that our name is still on the door. I know that nothing's in that space. I think they use it for storage. They haven't used it as anything substantial for years. I think that club gym over there in that building is taking up part of the space, but we don't even need that large of a footprint anymore. I've sent a couple of film productions over there to set up and do productions. They've built studios out in there, but it's there and waiting for us to return.
Well, if we can come up with a list of places, definitely cost is going to be an issue. So if we can come up.
Mr. Chair?
I also had another suggestion that perhaps since the Obama Elementary School is not being used anymore, that would be an ideal place, not only to put PEG, but to maybe put publications in a couple of other city businesses, city departments, if they're willing
You
to
can come up with that
work
list
with
and
us.
pass it along to your.
Okay.
Mr. Griselle?
Just thinking out loud, I used to manage the space where, hopefully,
We'll return to Mr. Griselle as soon as he seeks recognition.
I'm back.
Okay.
I'm sorry. There's a lot going on around here, but I used to manage the property, the garage where PEG used to be. And I think that would be a perfect place if the administration can work out a deal with them. Also, JRA may have some places that we could probably work out, even the old city attorney's office. It's there. Now, with the schools, it will be wise to talk to the district to see what their plan is for the old Obama school. I know One Voice just acquired one of the old schools, I think it's Marshall Elementary, so that may be an opportunity there to work out something with One Voice. But there are a lot of places within the city that the administration can probably work out something. But if they can get back to that old PEG space, if that's her number one, I think, I encourage the administration to intentionally look at that old space because, again, it still adds to, more life downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's hear from Mr. Boone, and then we'll get back on track.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Boone. I'm the manager of the Mayor's Action Line, also known as the 311 Call Center. And I came on board about the time as Ms. Sheila did, so we've both got quite a few years in the system. I believe this information may have been included with your packets. These are good. No, these are summaries that show, these are annual summaries and quarterly summaries. Call volumes.
And if we could just get these sent to my colleagues on Life Science, please. But thank you.
And we don't have any major asks at this time, but we'd love to have a functional copier for our building. But that's about the extent of our needs, our most immediate needs.
Well, before we dig in here, I just want to thank Mr. Boone for his years of service and his patience and empathy in helping folks. We certainly appreciate it. I think me, Mr. Boone, and Sheila was back there in the day when we all had black hair. So we've come a long ways. Thank you, Mr. Boone.
We've got a lot of folks in the city who work behind the scenes, but Mr. Boone, you are a celebrity to the Ward 7 folks. We've got quite a few neighborhood leaders that idolize you, so I appreciate the work
That's
that you do.
very kind of you. Thank you.
May I ask a question, Mr. Parkinson? Peter Taverson, CAO. Mr. Boone, you said you need a copier. All I hear is more spending. If you move back to City Hall, would you still need a copier?
We have one on the fourth floor that works.
But I'm saying, if you
Most of the
return, you heard the council express that they felt like, weren't you at City Hall previously?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And you recently got moved across the street to the Porter Building earlier in 2026.
That's right.
My question to you, before we spend more money, I thought I heard the council say that they would prefer to see you and Ms. Perline back on this side of the street in City Hall. If you were here, would that address the copier need?
I believe it would, yes.
Thank you, sir. And like everybody else, I've known you a long time, and you are the glue behind the scenes for a lot of things. Thank you.
You're awfully kind. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
I-
I'm sorry. Just as an aside, since Mr. Boone is here, I was at a meeting one day and one of my constituents asked if he was still the Parks and Rec director. So I know he's been around a long time. And so, Mr. Boone, I just want to say publicly that we really appreciate you. You are a staple for Ward 4, and we appreciate everything that you've done to support me in my office since we've been here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And just, again, thank you from Ward 5 as well. But yeah, as one council member, I believe wholeheartedly in getting those constituent-related services back to City Hall.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Boone. This good handout here, too, this really helps demonstrate the issues that are important to the constituents in Ward 1. And some of them really jump out at me. Animal control, for instance, is one that's a real hot-button issue right now that helps us understand what we need to focus on. Thank you so much.
I'd like to point out one thing. In the year-to-year summary, you see a gradual decrease. And the first year, that was when Jackson Water took over the water operations. The second year was when Jackson Water took over the sewer operations. So I personally believe we will see an increase in those calls, primarily this year due to the relaunch of the mobile application. That has been widely used. We've gotten very positive feedback from that, and I think it will be reflected in next year's numbers.
Can somebody assure me that we have the funds to keep 311's mobile app up and running? Is that somewhere in the FY27 budget?
Historically, that has been funded out of the
Yes.
technological fund.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I'll just say one thing. I've actually had neighborhood leaders and others around the city that have said we shouldn't be broadcasting 311 too much because it just paints a spotlight on the issues we have. I could not disagree anymore with that sentiment. Even if even if we had every pothole reported in the city, now realistically, we're not going to be able to address every single pothole tomorrow, but it is still essential that we get these items documented. So I just think that's my take on it, that we need an accurate sense of what's going on in the city. And I'm not afraid of big numbers. Big numbers just tell me that people are utilizing the app. And so I just think we need to be really broadcasting this and making sure that people are filling in and letting us know what's happening around the city.
Thanks for your service to the city, Andy. Appreciate you. All right, I believe we're on slide 14. Outside of personnel costs are actually falling. Supplies down 84.4%, other services down 75.5%. The two new line items, capital outlay and debt service, come from a new amortization schedule for our leased equipment, splitting those lease payments into principals and interest. It's a reclassification, and it's not new spending, as I've stated before. Slide 15. To summarize, of course, this since we've been discussing this, that number will increase if we are provided the relocation funds and vehicles and additional staff for constituent services. But as it stands, the ask is $802,797, a 28.2% increase, with personnel services making up 90.9% of that total. Slide 16, we've discussed publications. This is a snapshot of it here. Chargebacks recover only a portion of direct printing costs, while budgeted salaries, benefits, and overhead are funded separately through the general fund. A negative net result is expected here and is not a deficit in the traditional revenue fund sense. slide 17. Our key takeaways, so 4 things to take away. Our staff is lean and stable. Fiscal year 26 came in well under budget. The fiscal year 27 increase is structural, not operational, as we've said. Driven by consolidation, not cost growth, and non-personnel spending is actually shrinking.
Mr. Griselle, do you and Ms. Clay, do y'all seek recognition?
Dance a whole week, next week.
Mr. Griselle, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Okay, I think that's it.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to get started with one question in the interest of time. So there's a proposal for a new staff position, which is labeled as an administrative assistant. I'm wondering if, this might be a question for our HR director, but do we ever split positions? For example, maybe half their time they're the administrative assistant and half their time they're supporting Ms. Campbell. I know ideally Ms. Campbell would like a full FTE position for her office, and hopefully we can find the funds to make that happen. But if that's not possible, I want to at least make sure that we can get some support. And so if there's one position that's split 50-50 to support the work that you do and support the work Ms. Campbell does, is that something that could work for you? Do you feel like you need 100% of an FTE? Talk to me about this.
I feel that I need 100% administrative assistant. I would rather not be up here until 8 o'clock every evening, along with Mr. Hartley. But yes, I do need a full administrative assistant. I will, you mentioned Jamal.
We will take that under advisement.
You mentioned Jamal earlier, but I will say that Mr. Sibley and the help of the mayor's staff, Ms. Harding and Ms. Red, they've been great performing above and beyond their own duties in helping the Department of Communications, so I do appreciate them.
Okay, before I recognize anyone else, colleagues, unfortunately, I have to leave the meeting, and so would it be the pleasure of my colleagues to have somebody else continue presiding over this meeting, or would it be better for us to reconvene perhaps before our zoning meeting or something of the sort?
I would recommend, I don't know how much more there is. I don't have any more questions. I just soon try to wrap things up while in the next 10, 15 minutes.
I recommend recess.
What'd she say?
Can you repeat that, Ms. Clay?
Recess.
But I move that we recess.
What?
Okay, Griselle suggested that we recess. Ms. Clay, what did you suggest?
Recess.
Recess, okay, that's, so move in second for recess. As it's been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion?
Recess until when?
I'd still like to hear what Mr. Foote was saying. He was not in the mic.
Mr. Foote.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that I thought we'd be able to wrap this if with Mr. Parkinson leaving, we could finish this in 10 or 15 minutes. If y'all expect longer, we can recess and reconvene at 2 o'clock.
Well, that will still only leave us 30 minutes until the zoning meeting. I just like for the chair to reschedule, because we need as many people here as possible to hear these presentations. We don't start deliberation until next week. I think, we have some time to work it out.
Okay, now I'm not.
Okay, Shanikia Jordan, Clerk of Council. So according to the schedule, we were supposed to deliberate today. We have completed all departments' presentations. Our next meeting will be Wednesday at 11:15 for council deliberations.
Okay, unless there are any major objections, I will recess this meeting until 1:45. That'll give us some time. Mr. Lott, are you available at 1:45? So we're going to recess this meeting until 1:45. That'll give us a chance to finish speaking with Mr. Lott and begin any initial deliberations that we may have. And then we will conclude that meeting by our 2:30 zoning meeting and reconvene again as a Finance Committee meeting on Wednesday.
second that motion.
Okay. I believe as chair, I have the authority to do
Yeah.
that. Is that correct? Okay. Then seeing no objections, this meeting is recessed until 1:45 PM. It is 1:48 PM on Monday, August 17th. Thank you all, and sorry about that, that break. Mr. Lott, is there anything else? We'll have some questions for you, but is there anything else you wanted to share that you didn't get a chance to share earlier?
No, I am open for questions.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Foote, do you have any questions? If not, I can dive in. Okay, well, I'll get us started then. So I just want to be clear. So this chart is not who is currently in your office. This is who would be in your office under the reorg that brings some of the individuals from the mayor's office into your department. Is
No.
that correct?
This chart reflects who's currently under the Department of Communications.
Let
But
me
there are-
ask it this way, because I think when we say in communications, I think we can mean two different things. One is reporting structures, and one is budgets.
Right.
So reporting-wise, all of these individuals do report to you, have been reporting to you, will continue to report to you.
Correct.
So that's nothing new. But right now, are all of these individuals budgeted from your office, or are some of these individuals budgeted from the mayor's office?
For the current fiscal year,
2026.
the current fiscal year, I believe that it's still spread out, right? Is Brendan not in here? And so the upcoming fiscal year reflects the changes while you see the increases where we've put everyone under the department. But currently, you're correct.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a change from a reporting structure. They've always been reporting to you, they will be reporting to you, but from a budget perspective.
Correct.
So, do we know who on here was previously under the mayor's office from a budget perspective? Obviously, they've always been reporting to you, but from a budget perspective, which individuals?
The communications manager, one of the multimedia service coordinators, were both under, I believe, the mayor's budget. And I am not sure on the others without, there's Brendan. Brendan, do you know, are those the only two positions that were previously staffed under the mayor's office?
Brandon Jackson, Budget Manager. So marketing, the Division of Marketing, and the positions under Action Line were all coming out of the mayor's budget.
I'm sorry, the marketing and what, and
Marketing and Communications, that division, which includes your marketing director and the mayor's staff coordinator, I believe.
Yeah, so that's PEG, correct? No,
That would be marketing. Communications and marketing.
but I meant not the name the day-to-day name is PEG. Communications manager is Kai Williams, who's the director.
So PEG was actually its own fund, so that's Fund 300. The positions that we're discussing, if you look, I think it's closer to page 16 on the, no,
Those are 14.
page 11.
Page 11.
so on page 11, it begins with the PEG positions. Those are actually not within the general fund in this budget, but they will be pulled into the general fund for next fiscal year.
Okay.
That's the breakdown you're
And
looking
these, like this mayor's office coordinator, mayor's administrative assistant, these in FY '25, they were in the mayor's, they,
I need a break.
Yes, and so that's why you see the increase, because we've moved them now under the department.
That's actually everything that's under your budget right now.
Yeah.
when you say right now, do you mean FY '26 or FY '27?
That is in FY '25, '26. And the next year, the breakdown, the organization chart that you all have will be for '26, '27, which is next fiscal year.
Okay, so, but hold on. We've said a gazillion times that the personnel services and constituent services is skyrocketing. And we've said that's because there are people who are moving from one place to another. So you told me that this is people who are currently under,
You have two slides. You have that slide that you're currently looking at.
yep,
All of those positions are under communications and constituent services as a department. If you
Right
flip
now?
over- That's currently,
right now.
yes. The next slide will have the positions that are coming over from general government as a department, going into communications and constituent services.
So the ones that are, the budget's affected by the mayor's staff coordinator, this is the action line manager, so this is 311. Page 12 is 311, is that correct? The staff coordinator would be one of the complaints representative, which would be Ms. Celeste. Action line manager, that's Mr. Boone, and the other complaint representative is Ms. Cassan, and that is 311. And so those are the areas that will now reflect in the budget. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question that,
If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to just make sure we get, is it related to this?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Please, Mr. Foote.
Let me ask it a different way. I'm looking at page, well, I was on page 11 here, and there's got big dramatic changes in supplies, other services, capital outlay, debt service. But, so, I'm having a hard time getting my hands around, or my head around all the way the different moving pieces in this. And so let me ask it this way. On all the people that are getting paid through your budget, are you their supervisor? Are you the supervisor of all the people who get paid in your budget?
Yes, of course, they have more immediate supervisors. That would be the managers of the divisions.
Okay, but all the divisions that are in here, some have been moved in, but they all answer to you.
Yes, sir.
Because one of the things that worries me is that when budgets have somebody maybe getting paid in this person's budget over here, but they're actually working for somebody over there, I don't think that's a healthy relationship, and it leads to sometimes lack of accountability. So I want to make sure that everybody that a certain director is overseeing, or the money's coming through their department to pay for them, that they actually answer to you, so you can hold them accountable.
Yes, sir.
And you can hold that department or the division accountable if they're not getting the job done.
Yes, sir. That's correct. We mentioned, I think Ms. Pearl may have mentioned, Ms. West, who I think is housed under planning, but she has been working in constituent services. Dr. Robbie Smith, I believe, is also housed in planning and has been assisting in some projects as well. That's something for discussion.
Sure, I mean, I can understand there are times when you have to pull somebody who has a certain area of expertise to go work on a particular project, whether it's a national folk festival or whatever it might be. But I think it's important for us as a council on the original organization structure to make sure that there's accountability from the person in charge to all the people that get paid under his department.
Absolutely. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So the total salaries on this chart is $531,855.22. So again, that's not all personnel expenses, that's just the salary line. And then this has 10 positions for $411,966.78.
The first two positions on page 11 are PEG funded. So if you subtract that $110,000 out from that total, plus what's on the next page,
But some of these, okay, so like mayor's office coordinator is not on this org chart. Does that position exist in the mayor's office, in the constituent services, or not at all?
that position, I believe, was changed. So in the previous year, the mayor's office coordinator and constituent services was basically the manager of constituent services.
He was one of the representatives because Ms. Pearl is the manager.
This is what it was
What's that
actually
paper?
budgeted
Oh, okay.
for this fiscal year.
Here's what I'm trying to get at. We've said the reason that personnel is exploding in this department is not because they're going to be hiring a whole bunch more people and bringing a whole bunch more new initiatives, things like that. But some of the positions that were previously here are now here. And so I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, it's not as simple as these 3 or 4 positions are moving over there, but we've really taken several positions in this department and several positions in this department. Okay, so what are the positions, if this is how the chart is going to look, is it just the communications manager and the multimedia services coordinator? Those positions were in the mayor's office and are now going to be in communications and constituent services?
So on the organization chart that you're looking at right now,
Yes.
you have PEG on the left side,
Uh-huh.
which was not in the general fund, is moving over to the general fund.
All 3 of these positions.
Correct.
Okay.
Then you have constituent services, which is the program administrator. You come over one more time, that is action line. Action line is currently budgeted in general government. That will move over from general government to communications and constituent services.
All 3 individuals.
Correct.
And any notes on publications?
Publications is already currently in communications and constituent services.
So when we look at the current FY26 budget, if we look up communications and constituent services, we should see the director, the program administrator, and publications.
So you will see publications, you have constituent services, and the director is actually in the communications budget, which that division is for 180 within general government. That's moving over to where it should be.
That is also going to be moving over.
Mhm.
Okay, so the only individuals who were in the FY26 budget for constituent services is the program administrator and the 4 individuals in publications.
3.
Well, originally budgeted would have been 5, but going into FY 26, 27, it would only be those 3.
Okay, so constituent services for budgeted in FY26, budgeted, it's about $5 million, and for personnel, yes. Is the, oh, I'm sorry, 500,000. Thank you. So 500,000 budgeted would cover the program administrator and these three individuals in publications.
So with the original budget, you would have had 5 positions in publications
Okay, so it would have included that and 5 people here.
and 2 admin and assistants that were originally under constituent services, excuse me. So that would have been the original budget. I can give you that in the handout as well.
So I'm sorry, you said it was 5 people in publications
5 in budgeted positions in publications,
and how many in
3 in constituent services.
3? Okay, so make sure I've got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the reason the personnel costs are skyrocketing is because we've eliminated 4 positions, but have added 7 positions.
Correct.
So
We're moving them
those
over.
3 new positions, they're not really new, but for this department, justify the increased $350,000. $350,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Colleagues, of course, we won't, we've discussed office placement, we've discussed vehicles. I don't think we said that directly. But one thing we will have to discuss is the plan that the budget that's been provided for us does not include any full-time employees beyond Ms. Campbell in the constituent services division. That's just something we're going to have to think about.
I mean, all these people aren't full-time? Nick lost
In just in the, I'm referring just in the constituent services division of communication, within the department. I'm not including publications, I'm not including PEG, and I'm not including the action line. But in Ms. Perline is a division of 1.
Okay.
And so,
What happens when she takes time off? She has a vacation or gets sick? We don't allow her to do that.
the other thing, let me just clarify, the budget that's been provided to us does include a 12th position, which is the administrative assistant, which is currently vacant, and that the position doesn't really exist. That is not. Okay. Okay, so if we were to add both a full-time employee and an administrative assistant, that would both need to be agenda, but as currently stated. So can we please go to slide 10? So this indicates personnel services, what's changing. Oh, that's not, I'm sorry, that's not the one I want. That's my bad. Let me see where. Slide 13. So when you say proposed staffing changes, this is just for us to keep in mind. It doesn't actually reflect in the, so if we wanted to make these 2 things happen and/or add an additional employee for Ms. Campbell, we would have to make amendments to the budget that's been provided to us.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? for Mr. Lott.
We're going to go into executive session.
If that would be beneficial. Actually, we need a fourth. Do we need a fourth to go into executive session?
Don't see why not.
Peter Taylorson, CAO, part-time lawyer. You would need a quorum to take action. The three of you would not have to take official action to go into executive session, but the three of you can ask everyone else to leave and meet amongst yourself because you don't constitute a quorum of the council. So you three can meet essentially behind closed doors because you're not a majority of the council.
Can we meet and talk about, with any city employees, about personnel matters?
Yes.
I think that might be useful.
Okay.
Do that.
Okay. So if there's nothing else to share in this setting, if I'm understanding Mr. Taylorson correctly, I can adjourn the meeting and then the three of us can convene in the,
Well, you don't go into executive session. You would, you could adjourn or recess the meeting, and it's simply the three of you meet with whomever you want in the room.
because I think in order to take a motion to go in executive session, we need at least 4 individuals
Yeah, you need a
present.
quorum.
But we can meet amongst the three of us because we don't constitute a quorum.
Right. Yes, I'm here on behalf of the administration. Any staff or department heads that you need to meet while the three of you are there, we'll make available.
Okay, is there anything else to come before this body? Seeing none, this meeting of the Finance Committee is adjourned.